The Bible says that there are 5 cities of the plain. 4 were burned and never lived in again. 1 was spared and was not burned. These 5 sulfur balls represent those 5 cities. 4 of them are burning. 1 of them is not burning.
Imagine a valley where time itself was burned out of reality, the Jordan Valley. A strange place north of the Dead Sea, the lowest point on Earth, more than 400 meters below sea level. The air here is thick like syrup, salty, saturated with bromine and sulfur. During the day it shimmers over scorching sand, creating mirages that have driven caravans mad for thousands of years. So what's your take on this? Let me know in the comments. Hit subscribe and share this with someone who needs to see it. For centuries, Bedouins avoided these strangely rounded hills, whispering legends about a cursed place where divine wrath erased cities from the earth. Sodom and Gomorrah. We think of this as religious myth, a moral story about punishment. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah sulfur and fire from heaven. Sounds like fantasy, like a metaphor for divine justice. But what if every word is not religion, not mysticism, not allegory? What if this is an exact documentary report from a surviving eyewitness of a real astrophysical catastrophe that occurred 3,700 years ago? What if divine wrath has a formula, a speed, and a melting temperature? A team of archaeologists and astrophysicists led by Dr. Stephen Collins and Dr. Philip Sylvia decided to test this legend. They came to Jordan, to a hill called Tal el-Hammam, a huge mound hiding ruins of an ancient metropolis that had slept underground for thousands of years. They began digging, expecting ordinary artifacts, pottery shards, animal bones, stone foundations. But what they found made them drop their brushes and reach for dosimeters and electron microscopes. They found a destruction layer that fit no known picture of ancient warfare or earthquake. This was ash, but not soft gray ash from burned wood. This was hard, sintered black layer where solid stone had turned into flowing glass, where clay had boiled, where human bones were ground into mineral dust by a shockwave we see only at nuclear test sites. The results published in Nature Scientific Reports shocked the scientific community. This was not an earthquake. This was not fire from enemy torches. This was a strike from space. Tal el-Hammam was not a small village. This was the New York of the Bronze Age, a giant city-state fortified beyond anything Jericho or Jerusalem ever dreamed of. Excavations revealed walls 4 meters thick and 15 meters high, built from millions of sun-dried bricks, reinforced with towers. Inside lived tens of thousands of people, wealthy merchants, skilled craftsmen, powerful priests, professional warriors. This was a trade center controlling the Jordan River and routes connecting Egypt and Mesopotamia. It was 10 to 15 times larger than Jerusalem at that time, a true regional superpower. And suddenly, around 1650 BCE, life here was cut off. Not gradually, cut off instantly, at the peak of its power. After 1650 BCE, this region was abandoned for 600 years, 6 centuries. Not a single living soul, not a single new wall. People avoided this place like plague. Why? The answer lay in a layer of black ash 1.5 meters thick. The pottery looked strange. These shards were melted. Their outer surface had turned into greenish, smooth, slippery glass. Some pieces bubbled as if clay had boiled before instantly solidifying. So to turn this clay into such glass, you need a temperature of at least 1,500 degrees Celsius. In plaster and bricks, zircon crystals were found. Analysis showed these crystals had boiled. For this, a temperature above 2,000 degrees is needed. The strongest city fire, maximum 900 degrees. A pottery kiln, about 1,100 degrees. Where did 2,000 degrees come from? Such heat can only be obtained at the epicenter of a nuclear explosion or when a large cosmic body enters the atmosphere at hypersonic speed. Pieces of trinitite, sand fused into glass, chemically similar to what's found at the Alamogordo atomic test site, became irrefutable evidence. The city was burned by a thermal pulse of plasma. The sun descended to Earth. When archaeologists cleared foundations, they noticed a mathematically precise pattern. all destruction had a clear vector. The walls were cut, demolished, shifted from foundations. All debris, all human bones lay in one strict direction, southwest to northeast. Classic picture of a directed explosion. The shockwave came from the Dead Sea. It struck with monstrous kinetic force. The upper parts of walls, 15 meters high, were simply shaved off, turned into red dust, and carried away for kilometers. 4-meter defensive ramparts disappeared in 1 second. The main palace was cut to zero. This resembled the Tunguska meteorite of 1908. Only this explosion was much more powerful and occurred over a densely populated area. Computer modeling showed the cosmic object did not crash. There's no crater. It exploded in the air. A comet nucleus or stone asteroid entered Earth's atmosphere and detonated at about 4 kilometers above the surface. The explosion power is estimated at 10 to 15 megatons, 1,000 times more powerful than Hiroshima. Imagine Hiroshima in the Bronze Age. Skeptics demanded irrefutable evidence. Geologists laid their trump card on the table. Shocked quartz. To change quartz's internal structure, you need pressure of hundreds of thousands of atmospheres. Such pressure occurs only when a cosmic body impacts at hypersonic speed. In samples, grains of quartz were found with characteristic microscopic cracks. This is an asteroid's fingerprint. In the destruction layer, they found microscopic spheres. Metal evaporated and instantly frozen. Iron, silicon, platinum, iridium, palladium. Iridium and platinum are very rare on Earth's surface, but common in meteorites. Their concentration exceeds natural background by hundreds of times. And the final evidence, nanodiamonds. Tiny diamonds form from organic carbon during instant extreme compression. The ash layer is studded with these diamonds. Traces of instant transformation of living matter into carbon dust. These are diamonds born of death. Archaeologists found remains, not whole skeletons like in Pompeii. These were fragments, shards of lives, bones scattered chaotically, shattered into small pieces, mixed with broken brick and glass. Forensic analysis showed extreme trauma. Joints twisted unnaturally, some bones charred on one side. People were caught by a shock wave moving faster than sound. Hypersonic wind acted like a giant sandblasting machine. It tore flesh from bones. Death came faster than a nerve impulse could reach the brain. They simply evaporated in a fraction of a second. However, 2 people were found who hid behind a thick wall. The position shows they covered their eyes and pressed themselves to the ground. They saw the flash, a light brighter than 1,000 suns. This was the last light they saw. But why didn't people return? Soil salinity in the destruction layer is 6 to 8%, while below it's less than 1%. The airburst over the Dead Sea pushed the lake water down, then flung a giant volume of supersaturated salt water into the atmosphere. This salt tsunami covered the fertile valley. The land was poisoned. Salt concentration became lethal for wheat and barley. Agriculture became impossible. The whole land brimstone, salt, and burning, it is not sown, nor does any grass grow. This quote from Deuteronomy describes with frightening accuracy the chemical analysis of soil. The ancient author was not inventing metaphors. He was describing a dead landscape he saw. It took 600 years for rains to wash salt from upper layers. 6 centuries of silence. Around 1650 BCE, an ordinary hot morning, the city wakes, the sky is clear. Suddenly, an object appears, flying at 60 to 70,000 kilometers per hour, brighter than the sun. At 4 kilometers above Earth, the cosmic bolide explodes. 0 seconds, flash. Temperature jumps to 2,000 degrees. Clothing, wood, skin ignite instantly. Water boils. Eyes boil out. 3 seconds, the shock wave arrives, faster than sound. It strikes the walls. Bricks crumble. Palaces fold. People are thrown against stones. 10 seconds, vacuum. Air is sucked back. Buildings explode from within. 1 minute. Red-hot stones, molten metal, hot ash, and salt brine begin falling. and all ruins covered with hot salt. 1 hour, the city is gone. In its place, a smoking plain, white with salt. Above the valley stands a giant pillar of smoke, visible for hundreds of kilometers. Nearby settlements suffered but survived. It was the inhabitants who became witnesses. The story of Sodom and Gomorrah is not fiction. This is traumatic memory of generations. People who survived saw this. They saw fire from the sky. They saw smoke rising like a mushroom cloud. They saw Lot's wife become a pillar of salt. The metaphor takes on eerie physical meaning. A person caught under supersaturated salt steam dies instantly and is covered with a hard white crust. In the Bible, it's called Sodom. In modern Jordan, tall el-Hammam. The geographical description in Genesis perfectly matches the excavation location. The coincidence in time, place, yet a method of destruction is 99.9%. This is the rarest case when archaeology gives religion hard material justification. The miracle turned out to be an astrophysical phenomenon. Divine wrath turned out to be kinetic energy of a falling asteroid. Ancient people described what they saw. They called it God because they didn't know the word asteroid. The discovery shocked the world not only by confirming the biblical plot, it frightened us with its relevance. We live on the same planet. We rotate in the same space full of flying rocks. Chelyabinsk in 2013 was a warning. Tunguska in 1908 was a warning. Sodom was a cruel lesson we forgot. Cosmic bodies of this size fall to Earth once every few thousand years, rarely but inevitably. And if today such an object explodes over New York, London, or Tokyo, the consequences will be exactly the same. Melted glass, vanished skyscrapers, millions of lives turned into ash in 1 second. No air defense will save from a rock flying at 60,000 kilometers per hour. We search for threats in nuclear weapons, viruses, global warming. But the most terrible threat always comes from the sky. Suddenly, without warning, just physics, just kinetic energy. Tall el-Hammam stands as a monument to the fragility of our civilization. We can build walls, create empires, write laws, and pray to gods. But one stray rock from cold space is enough to turn all this into black ash and a legend. These excavations changed the view of history. They showed that myths are often coded protocols of real catastrophes. Scientists wonder, how many more mythical cities lie underground, destroyed by strikes from space? And the results were published in Nature Scientific Reports in September 2021. This is scientific fact. Biblical Sodom has been found, and it was indeed burned by heavenly fire. And we're next in line if we don't watch the sky. What do you think? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe, because the line between myth and reality is thinner than we imagined.